Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are getting up and having an awesome start to your day. A great work week out there so far as we're midway on through it. I got you an update on what's going on with this ice storm situation, winter weather in general. We have it going in areas of Texas all the way up to southern New England this morning. Certain areas are waking up to a nice coating of snow that have not seen it so far this winter, like New York City, for example. I think the last thing I saw, they have picked up 4/10 of an inch of snow, which I know is nothing to really rip and rave about. But you finally kind of break your snowless streak that you guys have been in for a while now. So far this winter, I think that's the first accumulating snow you've picked up so far, which has came on February 1st. It's really unreal to think about, but here we are. Just tells you how really lackluster, I guess you can say, the winter has been for the eastern U.S. But anyways, really the big story today is Texas and this epic and in all the wrong ways ice storm that really begin to crank up this morning and already is, and really will last throughout the day today. Temperatures will be kind of marginal, but they will be definitely below 32 degrees. And so you're going to have an all out ice storm, pure freezing rain. I'm not going to say you're not going to get any sleet that mixes in, because I said that yesterday. I didn't say you weren't going to get any sleet, but I certainly thought you would get the majority of the precipitation type would be freezing rain. And certainly you had thunderstorms of sleet in Dallas. It's pretty wild to see. I do not think you're going to see anything like that today, but I will say this. I would not be surprised if, especially in the state of Texas, make sure I don't say the state of Dallas. I almost did that. The state of Texas, I would not be surprised if you saw some lightning and you heard some thunder out there in certain areas and you're getting freezing rain and temperatures are below 32 degrees. Wouldn't be surprised at all. I want to say this really quick. If you hear any coughing in the background, little girl's just got a little bit of a cough, so they're right in the room right next to me brushing her teeth. So if you hear some coughing, well, that's the life of having kids and having a cough. So you guys know the deal who have kids out there. But we're going to give you an update on what's going on with this freezing rain situation. We're going to talk about everybody, not just Texas, but Arkansas, Tennessee. We're going to break it all down for you guys. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way. It really does with the algorithm and getting the videos out there. And I appreciate you guys supporting me and what I do here. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. If you also see me sneeze in the video, I apologize. Definitely, I don't feel bad. I just definitely got the sniffles and a runny nose, that's for sure. So watches and warnings out there. We have had a little bit of some changes. More ice storm warnings have replaced winter storm warnings, but in general, every area that you see in that dark purple, that is ice storm warnings. The pink is a winter storm warning. Kind of this bluish color right here, or teal color, that is winter weather advisory. So you still got ice storm warnings ongoing for several counties in western Tennessee. We'll see if they kind of expire any of these or any in kind of northern Mississippi or Arkansas, but I do expect another round of freezing rain. But temperatures will certainly be more marginal today. Yesterday in areas like Little Rock, Memphis, for example, areas of western Tennessee, Arkansas, just in general, you will fully into the upper 20s to around 30 degrees. Today, you'll be a little bit warmer, but we'll see how warm you can get. Hopefully you get over 32 degrees, but all out ice storm out here. Winter storm warning has been replaced with an ice storm warning in the Dallas area, Fort Worth. That happened yesterday. So today, mixed in with all the sleet you already got on the ground and just parts of Texas, now you're going to really get that solid glaze on all the elevated surfaces. You're going to start to lose power. I'm sure some of you folks in Texas have already lost power out there so far this morning. So we'll go on and switch it to, we're going to take a look at just tropical tidbits this time. It just gives us more of a wide view of what's going on. And the HRRR model is verifying okay, but not great. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you actually look at the radar out of the Austin area, it looks a little bit different than what the HRRR model is showing that it should show right now. But freezing rain falling in Austin, reports of, obviously icy sidewalks and roads and things like that. College Station, you're just getting rain right now, but you're close. Freezing rain up here, and you got precipitation in other areas of Texas. This is just the radar out of Austin. There's a bunch of radars in Texas, but certainly you're going to have more. Let's see if we can get the radar out of Odessa, Texas, and see what we're seeing out here. Come on, work for me a little bit. There we go. So Look at the precipitation popping off in western Texas, and this is frozen precipitation. There's no really reports. It's probably because it's still early out here. It's 5 something in the morning out here in Texas, so it's still early. Nobody's really up doing any reports, but I'm sure you're getting some reports of some sleet or freezing rain, probably freezing rain, and quarter inch to a half inch ice expected in this area of Texas. Probably more. Someone's going to get probably 3/4 of an inch of ice somewhere in Texas, in between probably San Angelo, Abilene, Stevensville, up to Weatherford, down to Austin, somewhere in this area, probably right into here, maybe a little bit further south. But anyways, you guys get the deal. This will become more widespread precipitation-wise for everybody as we go throughout the morning hours. And we'll show you that right now and how the HRRR model looks. This is what it's saying and what's happening right now. It's doing a great job with this precipitation down here in western to southwest Texas. It's kind of scattered a little bit. Anyways, we'll keep this rolling. We'll keep the radar going, and you get the deal. By the time we get into about lunchtime today, here in the next several hours, this turns into an all-out ice storm. All this pink, that is freezing rain. You could get some sleet mixing in far western sections of Texas, where there's a little bit more cold air aloft, a little bit of more of a lack of a warm nose, if you will. So I wouldn't be surprised. Temperatures are marginal. I mean, you're probably sitting around 29, 30 degrees in these areas of Texas that are getting an ice storm. But listen, when it's already been so cold for a few days, I mean, 32, 31 degrees, I mean, that's below freezing, especially when you get the 31 degrees. Really, that's the true mark of an ice storm, is 31 degrees, in my opinion, when you start to have big problems. 32 degrees, a couple of tenths one way, it might make all the difference between a big ice storm and just a very, very cold rain, which is what freezing rain is. But of course, freezing rain is freezing at the surface. But you stop this here, freezing rain beginning to enter southern sections of Oklahoma. It probably has already done so at this time. You keep this going, and just an all-out ice storm really begins to take hold of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, down to San Angelo, down to Austin. It's already freezing rain in Austin right now. Abilene, Weatherford, Stevensville, all these towns, Odessa, Lubbock will start to get into a wintry mix, and everybody in between, okay? Just an all-out ice storm as we stop this frame around 3-4 p.m. this afternoon. This continues. Icing continues all the way through. At this point, we're getting to about 10 p.m. If you're confused at what the time frame is, look up here. This says 11 p.m., but this is in Central Time. So this is 10 p.m. This shows in Eastern Time. So what you'll notice here is I've backed this up. Some freezing rain begins to enter the state of Arkansas. Very marginal temps, but certain areas will be flirting right around that 30, 31 degree mark, especially in Little Rock. I'm hoping for areas like Little Rock you get to about 33, 34 degrees, but I'm thinking that you might not. But as you're getting into later this evening, another round of freezing rain begins to enter. This includes you, Memphis, Little Rock, everybody in between, some areas in northwest Mississippi, even southern areas of Arkansas. Another round, and we'll talk about you folks in Tennessee here in a second. But then look at this, an additional area of freezing rain. Now the temperatures are even more marginal overnight, okay? Even more marginal at this point. So this is around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And you're probably warmed up a few degrees, but you're still getting scattered freezing rain in the heart of Texas. And I would argue there's still freezing rain, a lot of freezing rainfall, an all-out ice storm ongoing in these areas. And you keep this going, and you get all the way to Thursday morning, and you finally potentially and hopefully switch to all rain by the time you get into this time tomorrow morning for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you don't by tomorrow morning, you certainly will get well above freezing, I think, by Thursday afternoon. And you'll start to get that melting of everything. But what's interesting, there's almost like a little upper level low feature, which we all know. Well, we don't all know. I can't speak for everybody, but normally upper level lows bring their own cold air aloft. So you actually could, where you're getting a lot of ice today, could get a period of maybe accumulating snow for western Texas, maybe even drifting into areas of north central Texas by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon. I've been watching this feature. Is it going to give snow for Dallas? I doubt it, but you never know. You never know. I think the precipitation will move through Dallas throughout tomorrow afternoon, but I think it might be a little bit too warm for anything that falls winter weather. But icing between now, and let's see if there's an update on this and see if nothing's really changed. So icing between now and the duration of the rest of this event. I mean, look at this. 0.58, that's over a half an inch of ice. You got areas that have, 6/10 of an inch of ice. Anything between that half inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice, that is when you're going to have, I'm not going to use the word catastrophic, but you're going to have significant issues and major issues with power lines and mass power loss in the heart of Texas. Okay, you are. I mean, it's going to happen, and some of these areas will mix with some sleet, especially the further west you get in Texas, and then it starts to accumulate in southern areas of Oklahoma. Okay, a little bit later this afternoon, you'll have widespread areas that probably get over 1/4 inch of ice in southern Oklahoma, maybe a glaze as far north as Oklahoma City or Tulsa, and maybe an additional glaze for northwest areas of Arkansas. But we'll watch for maybe a little bit of snow, maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in. That's why I'm showing you this, only because to keep aware. Here comes the sneeze. Okay, I got away. All right, we're good. So only because just to note that certain areas could mix with sleet. I don't have the sleet graphic pulled up, but just know that some areas could mix with the sleet and mix with a little bit of snow, especially as we get into overnight tonight. And I'm really speaking for areas of western Texas, not really the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm not going to rule out any sleet for you guys, but I really think you'll be mainly freezing rain today, if not completely. I haven't showed you this. This is the HRRR model wind gust. The good news with this is you got a little bit of a breeze out there that'll be seeing. Well, that's not good, but I'm getting to the good news. You got a little bit of a breeze out there for areas of Texas, okay? But it's only like a 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. Now that you by each 1 mile per hour you go up, the more dangerous it gets. But in general, it's not like you're getting 15 to 25 mile per hour winds out here with this ice storm. Winds are not calm, but just a very light wind. 5, maybe as much as 10 miles per hour, right in the meat of this ice storm ongoing later this morning and today. So that's the good news, right? You don't have a ton of winds with so much ice caked on these trees and power lines. So that's good. That's good news. You don't have super windy conditions. So at least that's the silver lining with all this. But you keep going, and I just realized that, well, we already talked about the radar, but like I said, I showed you what could happen in Arkansas as far as the radar today, and what could potentially unfold with the HRRR model is what I'm trying to say. And additional icing is expected. Certain areas could see 1/10 of an inch of ice, maybe 2/10 of an inch of ice. Heck, maybe somebody could get an additional 3/10 of an inch of ice. But I really think Little Rock could potentially get another 1/4 inch of ice. It's possible. Let's hope not. But you guys, I don't know how much ice you guys got on the trees in Little Rock. I would bet at least a 1/4 inch of ice. And certainly in Memphis, I'm betting you do. You guys are white. It's pretty much an ice skating rink in this entire area right into here, down here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But, Memphis could get an additional 1/10 to maybe a 15th of an inch of ice. I think it's definitely possible. But just another moderate to maybe solid glazing today in Arkansas. This really moves in later this afternoon to this evening. But the good news is the temperature's a little bit more marginal. Okay, you're not like fully into the 20s, but you're still below freezing in a lot of cases. Interesting setup later overnight tonight for the Tennessee area. Okay, so we're getting into about 10, 11 p.m. You're going to get another round of precipitation in general that moves through. In general, you're not as cold. You're dealing with a little bit of freezing drizzle, light freezing rain out there this morning. Not a huge deal. But tonight, you'll have an area, there'll be a little bit more cold air aloft, and then I'll stop this is around 3, 4 a.m. tonight. It looks like you got a little bit of a wintry mix in like Nashville, areas of the Cumberland Plateau, areas of just the northern half of Tennessee in general. I mean, it's showing a little bit of snow based off the HRRR model. Some of that range changing the snow in those very high elevations of the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. So this will be interesting. This shows a burst of snow at around 5, 6 a.m. Tomorrow morning for like Nashville. So we'll have to watch this. This is an interesting little feature, and I think that some locals will definitely catch on to this a little bit later on. We just got to figure out what's going to happen with this, but there could be an additional wintry mix tonight. In fact, I think there will be. It's just what exactly falls for Tennessee a little bit later overnight. I'm not talking about Western Tennessee either, which has been plagued by this ice storm. I'm talking about Central, maybe even now, eastern areas of Tennessee could get into a wintry mix overnight. How much is going to fall? What I notice here is you see these areas of like yellow splotches. That tells me that this could have a little bit of we've mentioned it before, that convective element to it. So it could be burst of maybe freezing rain or sleet or maybe even snow. So I wouldn't be surprised if you wake up maybe tomorrow morning in the Nashville area with a wintry mix ongoing. Okay, and then, the temperatures begin to drop with a cold air mass beginning to settle in. And, you're going to get some mountain snow probably tomorrow morning into the, later morning hours for the Tennessee and North Carolina mountains, even Virginia. So we'll see what happens with that. That'll be interesting. And then another plume of moisture moves through, but this is for all of our folks that are not going to see any winter weather, which is us in the southeast. So there's been about 4, 5, 6 rounds of precipitation that has moved through, and just depending on how cold you are, just depends on how much. Well, that depends on how much frozen precipitation you've had. So one thing I'll mention about this precipitation that moves through overnight, and if it's frozen or not, is temperatures will remain about steady overnight. 32, 33, 34 degrees, even in southern areas of Kentucky. So, if you're 31 degrees, anything that falls is frozen precipitation, whether it's freezing rain, sleet, or snow. A little bit more cold air aloft. You don't have to go very far north to get into some very cold temperatures in Illinois and southern Indiana. But like I said, you're going to get another area of wintry mix for even the middle of areas of Tennessee, even northeast Tennessee, a little bit later tonight. Okay, so we'll certainly watch what happens with this. It'll be an interesting feature, that's for sure. A little bit of a glaze showing up from this. Not much, though. But no point staying on that long because we just need to learn a little bit more on what's going to happen overnight. That's, it's a difficult little area that we're watching later overnight for sure. So for my folks up here in the Northeast, you got, some snow. And we'll go on and hurry up and switch it to, let's see if we can do Newark here. New Jersey. Doing this, here we go, Mount Holly. That's exactly what I want to find. Look at this. I mean, it's heading on out now, but certain areas have seen a dusting of snow. Maybe somebody snuck in an inch of snow. I haven't looked at Twitter in a while and seen the updates. Some snow on Long Island this morning, but you certainly got a little bit of snow. You finally broke that snow drought in New York City. You were getting danger. You had a few more days before you got dangerously close to an all-time record of how late, how late you can get into winter without seeing measurable snowfall. I think it was like February 4th or 5th. If you got to that, then you would have broke the all-time record there of going so late in winter without seeing measurable snowfall. But you didn't quite make it, but still, man, you definitely got pretty deep into winter, right? And still a pretty pathetic winter if you're a winter weather fan so far. But this will move out, and then nothing else will really occur the rest of the day before this, except this lake effect snow streamer off Lake Ontario. It really just tells you how inconsistent the temperatures have been. I know, it's not uncommon to get lake effect snow off Ontario and Erie in February, but certainly some winters around this time of the year, the lake effect snow really begins to shut down because parts of the lake begin to freeze, but not this year. So there'll probably be a pretty intense area of lake effect snow popping off Lake Ontario. Watch out maybe Syracuse or just north of Syracuse. Certainly some intense snow is possible, but that's it with that. Interesting day in the southeast. We've already talked about the frozen precipitation that'll move through, areas of Memphis and Little Rock a little bit later today. But, some rain for Alabama, Mississippi, that some areas will be a cold rain, some areas will be a warm rain. But, what's interesting is, we'll stop this for Thursday morning, which, by the way, there could be another area of snow that might be there for you folks in Virginia tomorrow. And we'll talk about that tonight. I want some model guidance to come through to really figure that one out a little bit better. But, I think there could just be cloudy, dreary conditions. The sun will poke out some for areas of the southeast, but for a lot of areas, clouds with some peaks of sunshine. In certain areas, especially in Florida, you're locked in the summertime temperatures. But what's interesting today, guys, is cold air damming. So we'll look at the temperatures right now in the Carolinas, for example, and we'll get you an update here. Let's see. Temperatures right now, for example, in the Charlotte area, you're waking up to near 60 degrees. Same thing for Columbia, Florence, 60s. Okay, Fayetteville, 60. But look, in Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, 40s and 30s. And you see this little bowing area right here? That is cold air damming. That's winds coming in from the northeast, and that's what we call a backdoor cold front for the Carolinas. Interesting feature. And what's going to happen today is you can see it right here on the HRRR model very well. HRRR model is nailing it right now. So you'll notice if you're like in the PD of South Carolina, upstate of South Carolina, even if it's the Midlands later on, temperatures will drop like a rock. For example, I'll stop it here. Okay, you start off in the 60s in the PD of South Carolina. Now you're in the 40s. Okay, you might rise all the way to 70 degrees in Columbia today about 1, 2 p.m. And then all of a sudden you head home from work and you're in the 50s, maybe even the 40s. Okay, and it's just, it's what we call a backdoor cold front, cold air damming. It's cold air that's basically leaking from all this Arctic air, and it's oozing east of the Appalachian Mountains into the Carolinas. So I don't think it'll make it all the way to Georgia, but, it could steadily. But, interesting feature for sure, nevertheless. North Central U.S., my folks out here, pretty chill weather. You guys really aren't dealing with anything, really nothing, except this area of snow showers that will move through North Dakota a little bit later overnight, might drift into Minnesota and Wisconsin. But temperatures today, like I said, you got this weird cutoff here in the Carolinas. Florida, another day in the 80s. Pretty wild, just summertime there. Ice storm in Texas, continuing. More icing will continue to get caked up here in Arkansas and western Tennessee. And still sub-freezing temperatures for the Ohio Valley. The Northeast will be very cold. But that's nothing compared to how cold it's about to be for the Northeast. Tonight, I will discuss the possibility for some rain changing to some back-end snowflakes for areas of North Carolina for Friday morning. There's been some chatter about it in the weather community. I'm not very excited about it just because I don't like cold air chasing moisture events east of the Appalachian Mountains. They barely work out to anything. And to me, I'm not very excited about just a few flakes. I'm kind of greedy just because I'm ready for something more substantial. But, at the same time, I live in Columbia, South Carolina. That's normally not in the cards for me. But I certainly was looking at you folks in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I was a little bit jealous of you guys. It's more not legitimate jealous, but the passion in me was like, man, I wish I could see a thunderstorm of sleet. I would be totally geeking out. And that's just the passion in me that, I love weather. But anyways, guys, love you all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there in Texas. It's going to get pretty nasty. And I'll be with you guys this evening. God bless.